Hey Wargamers, Psychic Awakening the Greater Good goes up for pre-orders this weekend, and that means that Games Workshop is continuing their previews of the new book, including now a faction focus on Tau. It is an interesting article here that we're going to dive into and take a look at all the things that they posted. Yesterday, or the day before, actually, they posted a preview of Shadowsun as well. I have a video on that, so if you haven't seen that, check that out. But of course, as soon as I uploaded that, they dropped this juicy nugget on us. So we are going to be talking about this second part today. Starting up here, we got some information on Sep Tenets. So, of course, we have our standard Sep Tenets. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a major rework to any of those or anything like that. But there is going to be the addition of a custom Sept ability, and this is something that I and many other people have speculated about, and indeed, it seems like that is coming to fruition. In fact, we know it's coming to fruition. They say it explicitly that you can select 2 rules to create your own Sept Tenet. So if you want to play a Nidros army, you can do that now using this custom Sept ability or creation option. And they gave us a preview of 2 of the presumably many options that we'll have to pick from. And so the first one is stabilization systems. When resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon by a battlesuit model with this tenet, that model does not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. So it's basically a target lock. So for Riptides, Broadsides are the obvious things that they mentioned, but things like Yuvaras as well are going to benefit from this type of Sept Tenet. I mean, there's a lot of battlesuits that have heavy weapons, and so we can see clear applications of this. Does that mean that it is a auto-include, like, this is definitely something that we need? No, not really. There's clear value there, right? Because we want to be able to move and shoot. But I don't think it's good enough on its own to justify giving up a different Sept Tenet, namely the Tau Sept Tenet. If we get additional roles that can synergize with this really well, then maybe that will be the case. But stabilizing systems on their own aren't that juicy to me that I would give up my standard Septs in a competitive mindset. Now, of course, if you're going for something a little bit more fluffy, then this is this might be a way to enhance the fluff. I don't put it in a blow dryer or something to get a little bit more fluffy. The other option that they gave us was soldiers and arms, and this says increase the range of for the greater good ability to 9 inches for units with this tenet. Again, it's a good option. This is good, right? Both of these are things that have clear application. You can, how many times have you been in a situation where you have to choose between staying within for the greater good and grabbing that objective or getting into cover or something like that. And this alleviates that choice. I think this has some really good application, but would I rather have a larger for the greater good bubble, or would I rather double the number of hits that I get? I hit on 5s instead of 6s. So I think I'd rather have twice the hits than having more units within range, 90% of the time. So again, we'll have to see how these synergize with other tenet options. It might be that there's some really powerful combos in there that of course they haven't previewed yet. But these are cool. I am very happy that we are going to have this option. It's going to be fun. It's going to open up the gameplay a little bit, at least in a friendly or narrative sense, if not a competitive sense as well. So wonderful news. The next thing we learned is that there are going to be new prototype weapon systems. And so these are not signature systems, it seems. There's something different, and prototype weapons have been in the codex in previous editions. It's something that we're familiar with in that sense, like cyclic ion blasters, airburst fragmentation projectors. Those used to be prototype weapons and had special rules associated with them just because of that. And so I'm guessing that's how these things are going to be used, although the wording here has me a little confused by that. It says, the Tau never rest on their laurels, and the Earthcast have been busy developing weapons and equipment for the warlords of the Empire. And the thing about that is that they have warlords in capitalized. They have warlords capitalized. And it's not like warlord is a title within the Tau society or something like that, where warlords would be a proper noun and need to be capitalized like that. Instead, it's reminiscent, or in fact, identical to the capitalization they use for when describing a warlord in a detachment, or in an army. So that, I'm guessing that's, kind of me overthinking it a little bit, but the fact that they capitalize that makes me wonder how this is going to be implemented. Is it going to be something where they restrict, they change the restrictions on things like signature systems, or is it going to be something where you can bring one of these prototype weapons for every commander in your army or something like that, even if it doesn't have to go on a commander? That seems a little unclear. My guess is that it's just going to be options that you can take that don't necessarily take up a relic spot, but you're limited to one of them per detachment or per army, something like that. The preview that they gave us is for the Advanced EM Scrambler, though. It's for a Ghost Keel, and it says enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 inches of this model. So that protects you against deep striker things. It doesn't protect you against infiltrator type things, but that's pretty darn good. I could see this actually being a reason to bring Ghost Keels in the future, especially as the meta shifts. Having a Ghost Keel with a 12-inch do not come here bubble is pretty nice. Ghost Keels themselves, since chapter approved, have, they're much improved, but they still weren't at that place where I wanted to bring them. This could make a difference, especially in a meta where you're dealing with reinforcements a lot. And if that actually comes to be, then I think these are going to be an obvious take. You're probably only going to be able to take one of them per your army, so it doesn't extend your do not land here area a ungodly amount, right? You're moving generally from a 9-inch bubble where they can't land to a 12-inch bubble, but that actually increases the footprint quite significantly. So this is something that I'm excited to see how it actually is regulated and how you can actually use it, because it could be really cool. And then we get to the stratagems. The stratagems are probably the most exciting part of this preview. The first one that they preview here is called Coordinated Engagement. It is a Tau Empire stratagem, so it doesn't matter what sept you are. It costs 2 command points, but for those 2 command points, you get to pick a crisis suit or a crisis bodyguard unit, and in the shooting phase, they basically count as having 5 marker lights against a particular target. So that is awesome. That means that your crisis suits are typically going to be hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, ignoring cover, and that's a nice boost. That really does put crisis suits at being a very punchy, heavy hitting strike force type unit that they need to be in order to compete with things like commanders and riptides. So this, I think, is a fantastic component to the book, and something that's really going to make crisis suits become more viable. Doesn't mean that you're going to see armies full of crisis suits. No, it doesn't. If this does make a meaningful impact on army composition, it's going to be that you have one unit of crisis suits that you use this on strategically. 2 command points is pretty, it's non-negligible. It's 2 command points. You generally don't have, a ton of command points. So having 2 CP to spend on this one unit this one time, I think is worth it, particularly if you're going against a high priority target, but is not something that you're going to be using all the time. In fact, the decision tree that I think you're going to go through is, 1, can I get 5 marker lights natively, just using marker lights, and not having to do anything special? Can I just shoot marker lights, get 5 marker lights on it, and be fine? No? Okay. Can I do that using a combination of marker lights and network marker lights, where I can, maybe get 1 or 2 and then, explode that one up into 5? Can I do that for 1 CP? No? Okay, then I'm going to use this for 2 CP. That's kind of the idea, that, the decision tree that I think you're going to go through dealing with this, and probably are going to end up using it more often than not if you're bringing crisis suits. because even if you are able to provide 5 marker lights on a target, maybe you need to have, maybe you need those marker lights somewhere else. Maybe those marker lights can't see the target that you're trying to shoot at. This solves all those problems. So I'm really excited for this particular stratagem. I think it's going to make crisis suits a lot more viable, and I'm excited to use it. They also took care to point out a few things with Farsight Enclaves. Now, we've talked about how for the Greater Good book, you're going to get data cards for Shadow Sun and for the 8, and that it's nice that they are taking care to recognize the Enclaves as being something pretty distinct within or adjacent to the Empire, because, they're not just another Sept. They have a very, kind of divergent philosophy. So having them get special attention, I think, is appropriate and is nice. Frankly, it's just nice that they're getting additional content specifically for Farsight Enclaves. And so in this preview, they've called out a few things that they're doing for the Enclaves. One of those is this Danger Close stratagem. It's 1 CP. It allows you to basically command control node a breacher strike team. Doesn't have to be quite that way, but basically they can re-roll their wounds against a target within 12 inches of them, which is good, right? Especially if we're dealing with a big blob of strike team with a Cadre Fireblade, a Pulse Accelerator drone, something like that. In fact, you don't actually need the Pulse Accelerator drone because it has to be within 12 inches, so scratch that. So a strike team with a Cadre Fireblade or a breacher team, you can get a lot of leverage out of that single unit. And it's really too bad that this isn't just a Tau Empire stratagem. I would love to use this in combination with Hoplitted from Vior La, where you can have a breacher team fire twice. That'd be really nice. Or a strike team fire twice, either way. Being able to have them fire twice at a nearest target and then being able to re-roll their wounds would be probably a little heavy-handed, especially for 1 CP, or, however that worked out. So probably better that it's for Farsight Enclaves. It works out well for them, too, because you're not going to be quite within the range for their Sep Tenet, and so being able to re-roll the wound on its own right there, I think, is a nice benefit to them and will work out well. The rest of the preview for Farsight Enclaves, we see here that Aggressive Tactician is a new warlord trait for them. It's for a commander model. It allows him to call Ka that affects all units within 12 inches instead of 6. This is something that I think is actually really important for Farsight Enclaves. Right now you can call Mont Ka on your Farsight Enclaves army, especially if you're having the 8, right? Like, you call Mont Ka, you have to move, but everybody has to be really darn close, and that's can be challenging. Having that 12-inch bubble gives you a lot more flexibility and really makes that a lot more feasible and allows you to use your army more completely. So I think this is a fantastic warlord trait for Farsight Enclaves if you're playing them. Is it enough to make me want to play Farsight Enclaves as in a competitive list? No, but still useful if you are going to be doing that, certainly. Then they also gave us a preview of the Mirror Codex. The Mirror Codex was an old piece of war gear in the Farsight Enclave supplement. The fact that they include this makes me really hopeful that they included the amulet of Arthas Moloch, which is anti-psyker type thing that used to be really good for what it did, and is fluffy and useful. And so hopefully they bring that in too. But the Mirror Codex here says that when resolving an attack made by a model with this relic against a unit that is within 18 inches, you can re-roll the hit roll. So again, they are repeating that motif of close range, 6 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches. You got to be close to use the Farsight Enclave stuff, which is cool. But I don't really get this. I don't understand this as a relic. When applying a relic, it has to be for someone that's basically going to be hitting on 2s or 3s, regardless, right? So why, having the re-roll to hit, it can help you out in a pinch, right? If you roll that 1, you really need the re-roll or something like that. This could be useful in that context, but it just really rarely useful, or at least not useful enough to justify taking this over some other relic. Certainly, unless they're again relaxing the restrictions on who can take a relic, I don't see this being very useful. So this isn't this. Maybe this is actually meant to be. No, it's not meant to be one of the experimental weapon systems because it clearly says relic. So yeah, I don't understand how this is actually supposed to be used in a meaningful way. It could just be in there for fluff and fun, and not actually meant to really do anything, and that's fine. But it would be nice, if you could like stack this with a different relic, but of course you can't do that. Namely, if you could stack it with fusion blades, that'd be cool. But yeah, no, you can't, and it's kind of disappointing. kind of a thud to end the preview on. Honestly, in my opinion, I wish maybe if they would have started off with that, it wouldn't leave a bad taste in my mouth. But certainly, I think the best things in this preview, aggressive tactician for Farsight Enclave sounds really cool, and then darn, coordinated engagement has me pretty darn psyched. I've been excited about crisis suits since chapter approved. I've been including a single unit of them in my armies since then, and have been enjoying them in that context. Being able to have this ability to make sure that they have the marker light support that they need is pretty clutch. It also means that I can bring more shield drones. I don't have to bring marker drones to help ensure the marker light support for cyclic ion blasters. So it makes the crisis suit's a little bit more durable in that sense too, just because you don't have to package a couple marker drones with them to deal with marker light issues. So I like this. I'm really excited for this, and I think that's really the standout component of this preview. The experimental weapons, prototype weapons, those things are going to be cool. Once we get more information on them, there could be a bombshell in there, but we don't know yet. Right now, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about crisis suits, and I can't wait to pre-order my copy of not for the greater good. Guys, they're really heavy on the greater good. It's trippy. You really got to take your time thinking about, are you including the 4? Is it just the greater good? Whatever. Anyway, I'm excited. Hopefully you are too. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, happy wargaming.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining our community over on Patreon. These are the people that really help drive the channel and make things happen. So special thanks to Shifty, Dallas Ellis, Jim Bob, Scott Heater, Nick Steele, Tao Oswald, Jackson, Stephen Cohen, Eric Jackson, Michael Byrne, Zealous Brimstone, Jared Egler, and Chris Kessler.